Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Eden Zero Chapter 65. And right off the bat, I'm pretty much sorry this one is as late as it is, guys. I'm not sure what it was. If it was just that pretty much like all the manga sites were having trouble getting like proper proper scans out or something like that, but you would basically you would pretty much not believe how hard of a time I was having in pretty much finding in basically finding at least one working translation of this manga of this chapter this entire day. Like I'm like I don't know when the chapter officially got released or whatnot, but yeah, just pretty much finding a proper translation of the chapter was like the most infuriating part, and by the time I did find a translation the chapter ended up being released on my Manga Rock app. So it's like, okay, I'll just read it on that. It's like, yeah, it was so kind of, it was one of those frustrating times. But yeah, let's get into it. And alright, so I don't know about the rest of you, but after this chapter, I'm officially labeling Garrot to be Eden Zero's biggest dumbass of 2019. Because every single action he took in this chapter was just a totally wrong decision on the bare bones level that he really should have known what toying with Homura was going to lead to. And in some respects, it definitely made me loathe him even more as a villain. But at the same time, it's one of those things where when you see how little common sense he was actively using in place of openly, in how little common battle sense, like just battlefield sense, he was using in place of openly mocking Homura and disrespecting Valkyrie's corpse, you're pretty much just from sitting there watching, just watching Garrot be just pretty much make a complete total ass of himself, to the ass an idiot of himself, to the point where you're just waiting for the emotional top to pop off. And boy, did it ever, because Homura unleashed a full-on rage that would make even Urza scared. That's right, I said it. But yeah, like with Garrot, it was like, no, stop. Like, if you can imagine it personally, like every single moment that from Garrot was. That we saw Garrot in this chapter, I was like, no, stop right there, stop what you're doing. You're doing dumbass shit right now, Garrot. Stop, just stop it, like stop. Like every single thing he was doing, it was just aggravating because you pretty much knew what it was leading to, and again, you were just waiting for that emotional top to pop off, and again, it did, but it's like, yeah, Garrot, you are the biggest dumbass I have ever seen in my life. Like literally, like after this, I'm putting a dunce cap. After this, I'm officially putting a dunce cap on his damn head and saying, "Congratulations, you are the dumbass of Eden. You are the biggest dumbass of Eden Zero 2019. Congratulations, Garrot. That's your prize." But yeah. And it just kind of goes with basically his pretty much sadistic personality, but just a little bit of common sense on Garrot's side of this would have been great for me, in a weird sense. But again, he's a sadist, so I shouldn't have been maybe too surprised. Now, speaking of how this battle ended, I gotta tell you guys, this chapter actually kind of left me in a little bit of shock and awe up to a certain point. I mean, in the sense of on-panel defeats, Garrot being skewered is not that shocking, I guess, in the sense where he pretty much still is alive, but it was still one of the most brutal. It was one of the most brutal defeats I've seen in the series thus far. As seen in the series thus far, and this is like, and as far as I know, this is like the closest I've seen Mashima getting to I've seen Mashima to actually showing a protagonist like killing someone. Like obviously Homura didn't kill Garrot, but this is the closest where I was like, wait, this is the closest where if Mashima hadn't pretty much shown that pretty much last panel of Garrot on the ground and like grunting and whatnot, and grunted from being defeated, I would have been like, wait, did he just like did pretty much did Homura just kill Garrot? And I'm not, and again I had that I had that pretty much sense of feeling up until the point where it was revealed that oh yeah, he's still alive. He just got brutally skewered as all. Which honestly I'm doubting a little bit of the logistics on that one, to be honest with you, but I'll still take it. Sure, why not? But yeah, like it was one of those things where this is the closest I've seen Mashima to possibly showing a protagonist killing someone, and in most cases of his work, I've only ever seen the antagonists killing each other, unless it's Tapped and Enraved Master, which admittedly I'm still pretty early in reading that. But yeah, this is like this is the closest to like a pretty much on panel example of a protagonist almost being close to like pretty much killing an antagonist. So yeah, I at least have to give props for just how pretty much brutal that pretty much ending was, honestly. And now, having said all that, it's one of those things where, again, I would have preferred if Mashima, or pretty much considering how pretty much brutal that Mashima went in this chapter, I would have preferred it if Mashima had went all the way with Homura killing Garrot, because I feel there's a little bit of merit in showing that. There's a little bit of merit in showing that for the sake of developing Homura in some way. But even if she didn't kill him, there's actually a very interesting bit of subtlety in this chapter. Because in pretty much in the brief final moments of the fight between like Garrot and Homura, it's honestly it's very subtle, but it's there, and you can actually see that for a brief moment, Homura actually gave in to the idea of revenge with pretty much how close. With basically how pretty much close she was to actually killing Garrot. Like again, I suppose she didn't pretty much go pretty much all the way with it, but when you look at the brutality of the way that the Prince Garrett's defeat was, of how brutal like Prince Garrett's defeat actually was, you can kind of see that and in the brief moment, Homura had given herself fully to like revenge, and only in the last like second, and probably only in the last second did she like say, you know what, I'm not gonna kill him. I'm just gonna wound him. So yeah, like it was interesting to see how close that Homura was to just kind of giving herself to the idea of revenge. Like Garrot had legitimately pushed her that far. So yeah, it was pretty interesting to see for sure. Now, and the chapter in itself definitely leaned heavily into the idea that Homura has finally has moved beyond her grief, which at this point I've got even more ideas specifically with Rebecca's new power, in terms of how this whole thing with Valkyrie's, with what this could mean with Valkyrie. But I'm not going to say anymore. I'll just wait for this arc to close out in order to know for sure what Mashima's official plans are when it comes to Valkyrie's fate. But more importantly, with Homura finally back in action, this does give me a little more hope that we pretty much still can see like Homura. We still can see like Homura like pretty much fight and defeat her mother. But I'm also kind of preparing for the next chapter's events, like just to kind of strictly have Shiki have Shiki finish her off like pretty much by himself. Um, in either case, though, the more important thing here is that Homura gets like Homer has kind of has gotten her closure with Valkyrie, so I think the only thing left is for Homer to kind of like pretty much close out any kind of connection she has with basically Kurenai, her mother at this point. Although, so yeah, even if it's just like even if it just goes down the route of Shiki defeating Kurenai and Homura just like confronting Kurenai, if it goes down that route, I'm still happy too. Um, Although, if I'm being honest, even if Shiki is the only one who ends up from solely defeating Kurenai, I wouldn't like one of the biggest driving things since from the last chapter is that from Zhao Mei had pre-prepared every one of the Eden Zero crew for this fight on Sunjewel. So I wouldn't mind even if it's just Shiki who defeats Kurenai. I wouldn't mind if the whole like pretty much Zhao Mei stuff ends up coming back into play in some way, whether or not it's like all the Eden Zero crew like pretty much defeating Kurenai, or if pretty much or if basically Rebecca ends up giving Shiki a little bit of advice on how to defeat her, like just a little detail like that or something would definitely be a cool way in order to bring from all the Zhao Mei stuff a little full circle. Like it's probably going to come full circle either way, but yeah, I wouldn't mind if it came back a little more noticeable in the final fight with Kurenai in some way. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you've enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, AniList, or Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off.